And our top story tonight at 6, a local priest says he did not do it. Father Samuel Vinay says he's innocent of sexual abuse accusations.
The retired priest tells News 4 in a television interview that he plans to fight to protect his reputation. News 4's Luke Moretti has more in this special report.
I never thought anybody would even think of making such an accusation.
What was your initial reaction when they told you about these accusations?
I was devastated.
Father Samuel Vinay is among dozens of priests in the Catholic Diocese of Buffalo publicly accused of sexual abuse.
Anybody who knows me knows it's an impossibility.
As a result of Bishop Richard Malone's recent determination that the allegations have been substantiated, the 76-year-old Vinay, who's been retired for about a decade, says he felt compelled to go public.
You basically want to fight this.
Yes. I didn't do it. Why should I go ahead and say I did?
The allegations against Vinay stem back about 4 decades. He sought out legal counsel from Buffalo area attorney Michael Taheri.
We aren't challenging the accuser. We're just saying Father Vinay didn't do it.
Taheri, who's handling Vinay's case for free, thinks the diocesan proceedings are unfair.
This isn't a search for the truth. This isn't a search for justice. This is a proceeding with no constitutional or due process foundational pieces that exist to the accused or the accuser.
For one, Taheri says Vinay made 2 written requests to the diocese for copies of the complaint, but never received them.
So we are left in the dark as to who said what, when, where, and how.
The priest had sent the letters asking for copies of the complaint. Never received any copies.
Well, as the rules require, there is no right for the individual to have a copy of the complaint. It's spelled out specifically in the resource booklets that are provided to each diocese. But the truth is, we would give that to them if this is something that was really making it difficult for them to prepare a presentation that they wanted to make.
Diocesan lawyer Terry Connors says Vinay was initially told at length about the accusation in person and was later reached by phone in response to his written request. Connors says he tried contacting Vinay's attorney, Michael Taheri, in an effort to share information about the complaint. But that was after the review board made recommendations and after the bishop determined the allegation against Vinay was substantiated.
If they contact a canon lawyer or if they contact a regular lawyer, very often those lawyers will call us and we will supplement that information and give them what they need to know at this juncture, even though the rules are that they're not entitled to that information. They're not entitled to a copy of the charges. They're not entitled in some instances to even know they're under investigation. But our diocese does it differently.
Michael Riddy is a canon lawyer who's represented more than 250 priests accused of sexual misconduct.
I don't have a case in recent memory where I have not been allowed to, at the very least, review the allegation with the priest prior to any type of an interview or prior to any type of response to the review board.
Taheri argues that seeing the complaint in writing rather than relying on what Vinay was told would have been helpful.
He's never had a chance to come before the board that decides whether the charges should be sustained without having input from him. It's totally preposterous.
Why not bring him in and say, we need to talk to this guy. Let's sit him down and ask him some questions here before we make this decision.
The review board didn't think it was necessary to make the threshold determination in this case that there was credibility to the allegations. And there was a recommendation from the investigator as well.
According to Taheri, Vinay was interviewed by an investigator for the diocese who was provided with defense materials for the review board to consider. They include the results of a polygraph test that Vinay passed, a urological evaluation that looked at the possibility of erectile dysfunction, among other issues, and a sex offender evaluation that found Vinay to be, quote, credible in his denial of the alleged sexual contacts. Connors says the framework for investigating sex abuse among the clergy is dictated by the church's charter, a canon law proceeding done by a private religious organization, and not subject to state or federal constitutional principles.
We are talking about a preliminary stage, an accusatory stage. Once there's a trial, there are rights that attach for the benefit of the accused priest that are very comparable to the rights of the Constitution that are for individuals charged.
Now that the preliminary investigation is over, Vinay's case moves to Rome. What's known as the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith will decide what's next. Connor says that could include a trial or sanctions. There's also an appeal process.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray.
In the meantime, Vinay's supporters are prayerful that the man they know as Father Sam will eventually be cleared.
Aren't we innocent until proven guilty? And has he really been proven guilty? We haven't seen anything that proves that.
Vinay remains on administrative leave. Until recently, he had been residing at St. Stephen's on Grand Island, but was moved by the diocese to another location.
Fundamentally, if a person is accused, they should have an opportunity to see the charge, defend the charge, and at least testify on their own behalf and deny it in front of this review board, and then let the review board ask questions and say, these are our concerns.
How do you protect the priest's reputation, yet give voice to the people who have not been able to voice their complaints? It's a very delicate balance.
October marks 40 years that Vinay has been a priest. He says the calling came when he was in the 2nd grade, making his first communion.
At the end of the day, you believe that you will be exonerated and that you'll be able to maintain and keep the reputation that you had.
Well, I'm sure I'll never keep the reputation, because once the reputation is shot, that's it. There's always going to be doubt.
Vinay's lawyer, Michael Taheri, says he's exploring a couple of options. One involves asking the bishop to reinstate Vinay, and 2, getting his client, an expert in canon law, to contest the accusations in Rome, where the case now moves for a final determination.